Oh, I like that.
It's a black bean brownie.
No, it's not.
No, no.
This week, I am cooking for my family using only this book. Stick around to see what we think of it.
Cheers.
Oh, it's so flavorful.
Looks like it's about to be an S.
It's spicy.
I like it a lot.
Tastes fruity.
This is my kind of meal.
Easily the best eggplant dish I've ever had in my life.
I don't like how this is tingling my sniffer.
Oh, I don't like the smell.
This is up there with the best of them, if not the best.
The mushrooms, I like them.
This is someone that doesn't like mushrooms. There's so much flavor in here. There's just layers of it. I can see you. Greetings and welcome to or welcome back to PB with Jay. Here on the channel, we focus on all things plant-based goodness. And in this video, I am cooking exclusively from Nisha Vora's Big Vegan Flavor. This book just came out. In fact, full disclosure, we got sent an advance copy from the publisher, which was so lovely. This book was on my radar anyway, so that was a nice little added bonus. That said, as you know here on the channel, you might think I might be biased from time to time, but my kids and my wife certainly are not. If you spent any time in vegan and plant-based circles on the internet, you know who Nisha is. She is the mastermind behind the wonderful, fantastic channel Rainbow Plant Life. Her goal in this book was to have incredible flavors, so let's see how that goes. This book it's a beast. It's super, look at this thing. Look at it. My goodness. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't think I've ever seen a cookbook this big before. What's really interesting about this book is that it's broken down into 3 parts. The first part, which is 147 pages on its own, which is literally its own book, is just about mastering vegan cooking. So it's just like cooking lessons from her, covering a range of topics from, all the different prep tools you should have, how to use fat, contrasting flavor pairings, cooking fats, why fat matters, plant sources of sweetness. It's just, it feels like you will not walk away from this book without having all the information you need to start your plant-based journey. Part 2 of this book is what she calls building block recipes. So it's her teaching you how to use a lot of different, recipes that you can then turn into your own recipes down the road. And part 3 is what she calls her wow-worthy recipes, which are just straight up recipes. All in all, it's like 600 pages of book. Something to point out is that this book is not focused on whole food plant-based, so there is lots of oil and stuff like that in this book. As always, I will be doing the swaps as needed. If you're the kind of person who's watching this going, well, it's not really fair to review a cookbook and shift out some of the recipe ingredients, this is not the channel for you because we are whole food plant-based focused here. So we're gonna be reviewing this based on the swaps that I do and how well this book translates to being whole food plant-based. Stick around for our final thought on whether or not we think you should buy, borrow, or bypass it altogether. And if you are interested in buying it, please use the link down below because it helps us out here on the channel. And for those that might be new to our channel, how we rank things is we use the typical internet ranking system here. S being superb, a truly great meal that we can't wait to have again. A means that we really, really like it and can see putting it into our rotation again at some point. B is it's fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I'd have it again if someone else wanted it. C means I don't really like it, but it's not so bad I won't finish it. And an F is just a straight up fail. I'm not going to finish this. I'm going to make my own dinner. Before we get into the recipes, I'd like to take a quick moment to say hello to some of the people who've said hello to us in the comments down below. Shelly from North Carolina, Jessica K from Houston, Texas, Sammy from Nunavut, British Columbia, who now lives in Ontario, Marie from Norway, Monique from Vancouver Island, Jamie from Brigham City, Utah, CL from Arkansas, Envy from Joplin, Missouri, Linda from Vandalia, Ohio, Cranky Manx from South Australia, Valerie from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Julie from Hertfordshire, England, and Karen from our Mighty Network. What is the Mighty Network? Well, it's like PB with J 2.0. It's a members only community which anyone can join for the low price of a crappy cup of coffee a month. There you get advanced viewings of these videos, you get a bump up on that shout out list, and lots of other awesome perks. All right, let's get to this book. For our first recipe from this book, we're gonna make this creamy baked wild rice with carrots. It says it serves 4 to 6 is a side, but I think that's because it says that the white beans or chickpeas are optional. We are going to add those in. So we'll make that a main, but I'm gonna double the recipe just in case. Worst case scenario, we'll have lots of leftovers to eat for lunch this week. Assuming we like it. So when you see the ingredients going into this recipe, just know that it's double the amount if it looks confusing. This looks fairly simple. First, we're gonna rinse the wild rice under some water, and then we're gonna let that soak for, it says 2 to 3 hours. She warns that if you soak the rice for longer than 3 hours, it could start to split, so be careful of that. We're gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we're gonna heat up a saucepan on the stove. We're gonna get our onions going, and then we're gonna add in the garlic, ginger, and the red pepper flakes, the turmeric, salt, and the maple syrup. Just a little bit of that maple syrup to start. This is 1 tablespoon here. We're gonna cook until the mixture is a little bit sticky. She says about 2 minutes should do it. Next, we're gonna add in the rice and stir so that everything is coated. We're gonna pour in the broth and the coconut milk and scrape up anything that's maybe browned on the bottom, but we're not using the oil, so that might not happen. Next, we're gonna add the carrots and the remaining maple syrup and the beans. We're gonna bring that to a boil, and then we're gonna turn that off. And she says if you're using a Dutch oven, you can put that right in there. Our Dutch oven is all busted, so I'm just gonna put this into a large casserole dish, or like a lasagna pan, and I'm gonna cover it in tin foil. And then we're gonna bake that for, she says 50 to 65 minutes. It should only need 15 minutes with the mixed wild rice is what we have. And then after that rests for 5 minutes, we're going to stir in the cilantro, the lime zest, and the lime juice. And then she says to season it with salt and pepper and more lime juice if needed.
It's spicy.
I didn't even put the amount of spice she told me to put in. Is it really spicy?
That's spicy. I'm gonna probably build as you eat it, you know. No, it's really good. I might dial down the spice a little. For me, the spice isn't great right now, but I really like it, and it's very flavorful, and I would eat it again.
What would you give it?
An S.
Is this supposed to be like a green curry or something?
No, it's just called like creamy carrot something. I can't remember the name of it.
Like.
Yeah, it's got turmeric in it though, and coconut milk, so it's gonna be curry, kind of curry-ish, and the red pepper flakes are what makes it spicy.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. What do you think?
Oh no, it's all right. I give it a B.
Do you have a thoughts, Annie?
Spice.
Spice.
I give it a B.
Like, I like this level of spice, but I can see how this might not be for everyone.
Now and then.
Oh my god, my plant. You just took the top off my plant.
I don't know if you saw that.
You took the top off my plant.
But Velma killed. I think Velma might have just killed the plant. I'm gonna give this like an A+. It's real good. I like it. It's. I've definitely never had anything like this before. Full of flavor, and it keeps on building. This might be an S. It's definitely an A+. I'm having this again for lunch the next day, and I can't remember what I gave it last night. I think I was teetering between an A and an S. I'm gonna just say it's an S because it's delicious. This would be great for like Thanksgiving or Christmas. I really, really like it. I think the only note we have is just cut down on the spice. Tonight for dinner, we're gonna have scrambled shakshuka. I've had both plant-based and non-plant-based versions of shakshuka, and I gotta say, it's a dish I enjoy. So I was excited to make hers because it's using some ingredients I haven't used before. Namely, she calls for harissa paste or sauce. I couldn't find it. I looked in a lot of different places. The best I could come up with was this harissa powder or spice blend. So that's what we're gonna use. Same as the Aleppo pepper. I couldn't find it. So apparently it's fine to make the harissa paste from the spice blend. You just mix equal parts spice and water.
It's gonna be spicy.
Maybe we'll use a little bit less. Oh, that's good. I can see why that's a unique flavor. I like it. It's not that spicy. Oh, okay, there it comes. Wow, it's nice. It's nice though. It builds. I like it a lot. I'm glad to now have this spice in my kitchen. Thank you, Nisha, for introducing me to it And the good thing about this is one of the main ingredients is Aleppo peppers in this. So hopefully this will do the trick for replacing it in this dish and give it at least some kind of a facsimile. That's one of the challenges with this book is there's definitely some ingredients in here that you can't necessarily find in a typical grocery store. You might have to go hunting a little bit. That said, that's why I'm here to show you how to use some of your other items you might have in your kitchen to maybe help you out a little bit. So with that in mind, this might not be the exact flavor profile she's going for. We're gonna do our best. So we're not gonna use the oil here. We're just going to toss the cumin seeds and coriander seeds on just the frying pan. They don't need the oil. I mean, the oil, sure, it'll do something, but I think you can just get an aromatic vibe out of them just tossing them on the hot pan itself. Once that's going, we're gonna add in the onion and the pepper. We're just gonna cook that until the onion and the peppers are just, you know, softened and lightly brown, if they get brown without the oil. Then we're gonna add in the garlic, paprika, and then we're gonna add in the harissa powder instead of the Aleppo and the harissa paste. So I'm gonna put in, I'll have to figure out what the equivalent of this is. I don't wanna overdo it. And then we're gonna stir vigorously for 30 seconds, it says. Then we're gonna use our hands to crush the whole tomatoes into the pan, adding the juices as well. Oh. And we're gonna season with a little bit of salt. And then we're gonna bring that to a rapid simmer and cook occasionally until it's thickened, about 15 minutes it says. While the sauce is simmering, she says to drain the tofu and line a cutting board with paper towels to get it going. So she's using soft tofu, which I find doesn't drain well. It gets really mushy when you push it down too much. So we'll do our best. We have these little homemade towelettes of woolly that we'll try to dampen as much as we can.
5 minutes later.
We're gonna break that tofu into crumbles and toss it with the turmeric and the nutritional yeast. Once the tomato sauce is done, we're gonna add the seasoned tofu on top, followed by this feta. This is not a whole food plant-based ingredient. It is a store-bought one. She says the feta is pretty crucial to the taste of the dish. We're gonna transfer this to an oven and bake for 10 to 12 minutes until the sauce is bubbling and the tofu starts to meld into the dish. It says to garnish with parsley or cilantro. And I call an audible on the fresh herbs to put in at the end because I don't have the two that she calls for. I have a bunch of basil though from my garden, so I'm just gonna use that. Feels like it's in the right flavor palette, so I'm gonna let it go. It'll probably shift the flavors a little bit, but that's okay. And then she says to serve it with some bread of your choice.
Tomatoey.
Cheers. Tastes kind of like chili. It's good. I mean, it's not really my favorite flavors, so I probably wouldn't ask for it, but it's really
tomato pieces in it.
good.
Looks like it's about to be an S.
Yeah?
Why?
Oh, it's hot.
Yeah, it's hot. You okay there?
Yeah.
There's big pieces of tomato.
You don't like that?
What? Since when do you not like tomato?
I don't like canned tomato. I don't want it. It's an F.
I'm kind of on the fence of what to give it because it's not really for me. Like, it's not my kind of dinner, but the flavors are really good. So it's probably like an A if you like
What's this?
tomatoey dinners.
I'm gonna give it an A because of the feta. I just don't really like it. I feel like you don't need it. Like, it doesn't add to the flavor. It's just kind of weird in it. Like, just add some more salt if you want more saltiness.
Oh, giant tomato.
Ooh. It's really, for me, this is an S. It's so, I like shakshuka a lot. And we've made it once or twice here on the channel. This, I mean, I'd have to have them back to back, but this is up there with the best of them, if not the best. It's so good. Our CaseKoos came.
Excuse me?
They're like,
CaseKoos?
yeah.
Is that like couscous?
Nope, not
Can we eat
couscous.
it?
Nope.
Is it chocolate?
You can't eat couscous anyway.
Is this it's chocolate bars?
I can't even see you. 1 second.
Thanks for the chocolate bars.
There's not, okay.
What's a CaseKoo?
It is a phone case.
Is one of them for me?
One of them is for you.
They have cute little pictures.
I know, the stickers are very exciting. What's cool about them
Tell me.
is
cool
that
about them?
you can use them. They've got these
Oh,
little
they have
bands on
little
them,
stands.
little stands, so that if you're watching one of our videos while you're trying to make dinner, you can pop it up.
Or if you're trying to make a video while you're trying to eat dinner, you don't
Yeah.
have to lean your phone against the bowls.
And also,
What?
hey, look, you're on my fridge. Oh my goodness, this just opened up a whole new world of possibilities for shooting. Look, the fridge is opening. Look how cool this is. Like, we got a whole new angle in our kitchen. So this one's specifically for mine because it'll fit my iPhone Pro, which is honestly what I shoot all of our videos on. So it's gonna be hard to shoot me using this thing because it's gonna go on the thing that you're currently watching. For those that didn't know, that's how we shoot our videos around here at PB with Jay. Maybe that'll change. Maybe we'll upgrade our camera equipment at some point, but right now, I like the flexibility of this camera and what it can do. Thank you, CaseKoo, for these new cases, and I'll give you more information later on with how to get one of your own if you're interested in such a thing. As you can see me playing around in this video, I really genuinely love this thing. I just love this magnetic thing that straps onto my fridge and any other magnetic device. It connects beautifully to my magnetic charging port. I love that I can just flip this around either on its side or like that, and I can just have it balancing itself. You don't know how many times in these videos I'm propping my phone up against like a water bottle or a glass or a piece of produce just to get an angle inside my kitchen, and now I don't need that at all. I can just use this. And for even those people that aren't like shooting stuff like I am on my phone, this is just great if you're in the kitchen and you're looking at a recipe or watching a video and you just need something to pop up your phone. And it's flat, so it doesn't stick out at all. It blends in beautifully with your phone. And these are like, you know, pretty simple looking cases, but if you go on their website, they have tons that are like different colors and sizes. Mostly it's iPhone, I believe, so double check that. They might have other cases available at some point, but any size or kind of variety of iPhone, they definitely have you covered for that. And they're giving us an exclusive 10% discount that you can use down below. The link is in the description, so enjoy that. All right, back to the recipes. Tonight for dinner, we're making Vietnamese rice noodle bowls with crispy tofu and mushrooms.
I'm so excited, and so is my hair.
I didn't freeze the tofu in advance. She recommends that you can do that. And we have done that in the past, and it does give it like a firmer, like a meatier texture, would you say?
Yeah, so good. Why didn't you do it?
Didn't think about it. Forgot to
Aw,
read this in
man.
advance. I was making a mango tart that we're going to have later.
Ooh, I like
Spoiler
mango.
alert. So, but I did press it really, really well. And so it's been pressing for the last couple hours, which you don't need to press it for hours, like 10, 20 minutes will do. So we're going to cut that up. And we're going to toss it in all of the things it says to do here. Although we're going to swap out the neutral flavored oil with alfalfa. I will probably use some of that sesame oil because it's really just the flavor component. And then we're going to mix it with the rest of these flavor-y things. So we're going to combine all those things. We're going to bread the tofu and then we're going to bake it along with the mushrooms. So after you get the tofu breaded, you then kind of rip up the mushrooms and add it in what's left of that sauce, along with a little bit more, she says, of the oil. So I'm gonna put a little bit more alfalfa in there and maybe a little bit more sesame oil just for flavor. Then we're gonna bake those at 425 for 15 minutes. Halfway through, we're gonna flip it and bake it for another 15 minutes. Willie's making the salad, which is combining the carrots, cucumbers, scallions, and the bean sprouts. What's the trick to the bean sprouts, Willie?
You gotta rinse them, and then you can put them in a bowl and pour boiling water over them. You're not supposed to eat them raw. Even though sometimes in restaurants you get them raw, so I don't know. But anyway, the package says to cook them.
And then we are going to make the sauce. So the only thing we don't have, I couldn't find this umbashi paste. It says optional for extra savoriness, but I read on the internet that you can swap it out with red wine vinegar. So we'll add just a little bit of that. And instead of the agave, I'll use maple syrup or date paste, a quarter cup of date paste.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll use date paste. There we go. But I am gonna omit the chilies at Willie's request. You know what I might put in though? It says instead of the 1 to 3 chilies, maybe we'll put in like a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes.
Drink up.
Don't drink it.
A smoothie, right?
Yeah, it's a smoothie. Just down it. I'll just.
I can smell it. It's not a smoothie. It's gonna be really nice.
Yeah. Oh! Oh, it's so flavorful.
So flavorful.
Big vegan flavor. That's an accurate name for this cookbook.
I want to do a shout out to Nisha Vora, creator of Rainbow Plant Life. Because this book, so far, we've loved everything that we've made.
Spoiler alert, we like this book a lot so far. And it's easy and like there is a lot of not whole food plant-basedness to it, but the swaps have been pretty easy so far.
He's so cute. Look at this dog.
She was my choice, by the way. I picked that dog.
Oh my gosh, how could you not pick this dog?
She's the best.
Pick this dog.
She's the best. Hey, Bella. Say hi to YouTube.
Hello.
To assemble, we're going to divide the noodles along 4 deep bowls. We got perfect bowls for this. You drizzle with a generous amount of the sauce on top and toss to combine the noodles. Divide the tofu and mushrooms among the bowls, then top with the salads. And then handfuls of fresh herbs and peanuts. And then just before eating, drizzle more sauce on top. And have sauce on the side. This must make a lot of sauce.
The mushrooms are burnt.
The mushrooms are burnt a little? I thought so, but it said crispy is good. I should have pulled them out. Not all of them are burnt. Shoot. The ones that aren't burnt taste good. That's so crispy. There is a little bit of oil in here though. With the sesame oil.
I got all the burnt mushrooms.
Sorry. Squirrel. Did you find a Rufus? Where's the squirrel? We don't endorse the harmfulness of squirrels, but the dogs never catch them.
Except for one time.
But she put it right down.
No, Rufus.
Yeah, Rufus set it down. Rufus caught a squirrel and set it down 2 seconds later because he didn't know what to do with it.
No, because you made it.
Mmm.
Squirrel.
This reminds me of going to a pho.
Too
Mmm.
much sauce.
Just mix it around.
I did.
It's so good. I love this. I think this is packed with flavor. It feels
Yeah,
very
these noodles
fresh.
have less.
I like the idea of the mushrooms. I don't know if I'd cook them for as long as she suggested because they burnt a little bit. Because she said the more you shred them, the crispier they get. I think I took that too literally. I'm sorry, the world is ending with a cicada that sounds like... Those are cicadas for those that don't know. Little bugs that live in trees and come out in late August. I'm going to give this an S. I love it. I adore this. I would have this a lot. It's so good. Next!
The mushrooms, I like them. They're like, that looks like octopus.
Oh. Yeah, this is someone that doesn't like mushrooms.
Probably an
It's really solid.
I love it. This is my kind of meal. Somewhere between an A and an S, I'm not sure.
Nice.
It's really good.
Sauce is tangy and no bot.
In a good way? Oh.
But anyway, it's good.
Yeah?
I would eat this again anyway, like every day.
Yeah? I think it's an S then for you.
I like the mushrooms and the tofu.
Alright.
I'll give it a B+. I didn't put enough sauce in it, and also if I put in any more sauce than I did, then it'd be too tangy.
Today for our dessert, I'm gonna make this Chai-Spiced Custard Tart with mango. And I'm starting in the morning because she says the longer it sits in the fridge, the more custardy and better it is. So we're doing that. So I'm gonna make the crust first because it needs time to cool before you put the filling in. So I'm doing this sporadically throughout my morning. The changes I'm going to make in this are very, very minor because it's already naturally gluten-free with the oat flour and the almond flour for the crust. The only thing I'm swapping out is she calls for a 1/4 cup of vegan butter, melted. I'm going to use aquafaba for that. That's just for the crust and that's fine. I did use a small amount of oil just to grease my tart pan because it'll just keep it from sticking later on. Not much gets into the food. I'm not gonna be concerned about that. If you don't have a tart pan with a removable bottom like this one, you can just use a pie plate. Just, try to pry it out before you cut it. It's just gonna be a little bit harder to pull out, but it's not impossible. Don't let that stop you from making it. So the first thing we're gonna do is preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we're gonna grease that pan like I mentioned. Next, we're going to put all the spices together to create the chai spice blend. She recommends if you've got full cardamom pods to blitz them up, just it makes them fresher. You can use pre-grinded, that's what I got. Next, in a medium bowl, you're going to combine the oat flour, almond flour, salt, and the chai spice blend and mix it around until it's nice and combined. Then I'm gonna drizzle in that aquafaba, the maple syrup, and the vanilla. She does say if you want to reduce the amount of maple syrup, you can. I gotta say, there's these great side notes on every single recipe that gives you ingredients notes, tips, and then other things in there. So there's lots of swaps that she already gives you suggestions for in this. She even mentions that you can make it less sweet if you want to. And she gives you a tip for what kind of mangoes to use, which I did. I picked the mango she recommended because why not? Okay, so once we have that aquafaba, maple syrup, and vanilla in there, we're gonna stir it around until the dough comes together and it's got a nice little moisture to it. We're gonna add that to the pan and then we're going to pinch up the sides, and so it's nice and even all around the bottom of the pan as well as the back. If you want to use a flat measuring cup to help make it flat on the bottom, that's kind of the best trick. Prick the crust with a fork all over to prevent it from bubbling up and breaking while it's cooking. Put it on a sheet pan, pop it in the oven for 20 minutes or until it's lightly golden brown. And you want to make sure those edges are firm, and then we're going to take it out and let it cool on a wire rack. To make the filling, I soaked some cashews last night. They've been sitting in there all night. And we're gonna put those into a blender, also with some coconut milk. Here's what I did. Instead of just using pure coconut cream, which the recipe calls for, I just took a can of coconut milk, full fat coconut milk, and I put it in the fridge yesterday. And so you'll notice that it's separated from the water and the cream. So just use that cream part at the top in the amount that she calls for. We're gonna add that in there with, she calls for agave. I'm gonna use maple syrup because I don't have agave on me. The lemon juice, salt, ginger, cardamom. Again, we're gonna swap out the coconut oil with aquafaba here, vanilla, and some orange zest. And then we're gonna blend that until it's smooth and creamy. Scrape down the sides as you go if needed. She says it could take up to 4 minutes to fully blend. We're gonna pour a little less than half the filling, about a cup worth, into the cool tart shell. And then using a silicone spatula, we're gonna smooth out that surface, and then we're gonna refrigerate that for 20 minutes. While that's happening, we're gonna take our mangoes. I've got some Atufalo mangoes here. She says that they slice best if you put them in the fridge overnight, which is what I did. I'm gonna peel those, slice them into thin strips. And then once the tart has cooled for 20 minutes, we're gonna arrange half of those mangoes in a flat layer. And then we're gonna pour the rest of the filling on top and smooth that out and refrigerate that for 20 minutes. And then we're gonna put the rest of those mangoes on top. And we're gonna put that back in the fridge for at least 2 hours, but she says you can put it in for overnight up to 2 days. Before serving, if you have them, you can top it with fresh berries and fresh mint. Just grab some fresh mint for the mango tart from our Click and Grow. If you're interested in the Click and Grow and don't hate mint like Annie, we have a link for a discount in the description down below. Get out of my mango! This might be like the prettiest thing I've ever made.
I've made.
I'm sorry. Annie put
I
the
put the raspberries on top. It looked like trash when I was just mango. Isn't this the prettiest thing I've ever made?
Beautiful, Annie. Way to go.
Oh my goodness.
Tastes like salmon.
This mango's good.
Yeah?
Pretty good. Tastes fruity.
That's weird. What makes the inside?
Cashews and coconut
I wish
cream.
the cream was lighter.
It's too heavy?
Yeah.
Oh, it smells like a pudding.
It's supposed to be a custard. It's a custard tart.
I think it's really good.
Yeah? What's that?
I like it a lot.
I'll eat the toppings.
Not the inside?
I'll eat hers.
Okay. Perfect. So what do you give it, Eve?
Hey.
You're gobbling it up.
Let's see.
Wow.
She's gonna finish it. She doesn't love it.
I think it's an S for me. It's like flavorful. It's super creamy. It's just really tasty.
Oh my goodness. That's so good. It looks so fancy. But it was actually really simple to make. But it's gonna make it look like a superstar who makes something like this. It's like a crowd pleaser kind of dessert. And it doesn't taste like nutty or coconutty. Swapping out the oil with aquafaba, I couldn't tell you the difference. It's so creamy. This has got a crisp to it. You don't need the oil. S. If I could go higher than an S, it would be higher than an S. This is so good. My kids are all playing together. Tonight for dinner, I'm gonna make a saucy black bean in Sofrito. I hope I said that properly. This looks delicious, and we are gonna serve this on some taco shells or like little tortilla wrap type things. So I actually cooked my own beans in the Instant Pot. I tried to get the right ratio because it says you gotta use some of the bean juice inside of it. So hopefully that's gonna be good for that. It definitely looks like what the inside of a can of beans looks like. You know what I'm talking about. It's like that goopy, saucy, you know, it's kind of not pretty, but it's what it is. It's gonna be good. So to start off, we're gonna add the tomatoes to a food processor and we're gonna blitz them just until they're finely minced, but not fully pureed. If you don't have a food processor, she said you can also grate them on like a box grater. That feels like it would be very messy. Then we're gonna make the sofrito. In our large saucepan, we're gonna heat that up. We're gonna omit the oil because we don't need it. We're gonna put a little bit of water in there once it's hot, and then we're gonna throw in the onions. We're gonna cook those around for about 5 to 7 minutes until they've softened up a little bit. And then we're gonna add the garlic and the jalapeno for like another 2 minutes. And then we're gonna toss those tomatoes inside. I couldn't find any fresh oregano, so I'm just gonna use like a tablespoon of oregano seasoning and just a little bit of red chili pepper flakes. We're gonna cook that until the tomatoes release their liquid and start to soften, and then continue to cook until most of the liquid has evaporated. She says about 10 to 15 minutes. Next, we're gonna add the beans along with their canning liquid, and we're gonna cook at a rapid simmer until the liquid has reduced a bit and is nice and saucy. She says another 15 minutes. She says if you want a looser texture, you could add a little bit of vegetable broth. She recommends finishing it with some olive oil. Obviously, we're going to not do that. I might throw a little bit of aquafaba in, as well as some lime juice. As you've seen throughout this cookbook, we've used a lot of cilantro this week, and I really underestimated how much cilantro I would need. Normally, it's one of those things that you buy and you don't use it all, and then it goes bad. This week was the opposite. I didn't buy enough, so there won't be any cilantro in this dish. We're gonna serve these as tacos with some corn on the side.
Hell.
Too hot?
Stale.
Oh, the shells are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it gonna taste like meat, Dad?
No, it shouldn't taste like meat.
It's really like sour.
Good boy.
I put lime in it.
I like it.
Dad likes it?
It's really good. I have it in the soft taco. Very tasty.
It's alright.
Yeah?
I wish there was like lettuce and stuff on there.
Oh, okay.
It's a good base, but definitely more would be better.
That's what it's designed for. It's designed to be like a base recipe and then you add stuff to it. So with that in mind, that's what it's designed for. What would you give it?
A solid B.
It's a bit spicy.
So you'd make it less spicy?
No,
No?
I like it spicy.
Yeah?
Just this having a taco, I give a B, but like with other flavors, I'd probably give it an A.
Yeah, same.
I'd say it's an A then, because this is meant to be the base of other things. It's like this is one of her building block recipes. This is delicious. I think it'd be the perfect beginning of like, I want to put more stuff here.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, but for a base, instead of having just plain beans, this is incredible. Like for me, this is like an A+ to an S.
It's okay. It's beans. Yeah, it's like a little sour.
That's from the lime.
That's good. I would use it in a taco.
Yeah, what would you give it?
B+.
No.
Baingan Bharta.
Tonight, Annie is gonna make Baingan Bharta for dinner.
Baingan Bharta.
It's eggplant, Annie. Here's what's cool about this recipe, though. So Nisha says that this is a recipe that made her husband, who hates eggplant, realize that eggplant can actually be delicious. And you and I don't like eggplant either. So maybe this recipe will convince us too. I can see you.
No, you can't. You're not looking at me.
All right, how do we make this? First thing we gotta do is burn the heck out of this eggplant. We're gonna fire up a stove. Basically, you're gonna put this on the stove with the open flame going. If you don't have a gas stove with open flame, she does have directions in here for doing it with a saute method, but we're doing the open flame. So she says to do this for 3 to 6 minutes for each side and then start rotating it every 2 minutes. Once deeply charred and very wrinkly, insert a paring knife into the fattest part of the eggplant. The eggplant needs to be very soft so the knife should slide in easily with minimum or no resistance. This should take about 8 minutes for a ripe eggplant. Firmer eggplants might need up to 15. After that, she says to put it in a bowl and cover it with a plate, and then it'll just kind of steam itself for a few minutes. She says up to 5. And then dip your hands in water and peel off the charred, papery black flakes. It's okay if some tiny black spots remain. Transfer the eggplant to a cutting board and slice off the head. Using a knife, mash the eggplant as if you were mincing garlic. She also has a special note over here that this is gonna make my stove really messy and gives suggestions on how to clean it. So thanks for that. The beautiful thing with this house is that if you cook, you don't clean. So, and if you don't help with this dish, you're gonna be cooking up a stove. So once that's done, we are going to start to make the Bharta part of this dish, which is heating up the cumin seeds inside of a frying pan. We're gonna add in the onions and a little bit of salt until they're softened but not browned, about 4 to 5 minutes. We're gonna add in the garlic, ginger. If you want to use some serrano pepper here, you can. I decided to omit it because we've had a lot of heat this week, and I think I'm gonna give my wife and kids a break. Then we're gonna add the coriander, a bit more salt, and the tomatoes, and we're gonna cook. The book says until the oil starts to release from tomatoes. I think she means the water there. And she said that should take about 5 minutes. And then we're gonna add the mashed eggplant, chili powder, and toss and combine and reduce the heat to medium, medium-low, and cook for 3 to 5 minutes, stirring often and mashing it all together. Then we're gonna add some garam masala and cilantro and season with a couple pinches of salt. The other thing I'm gonna add in here is I have some leftover chickpeas from the dish earlier this week. I just think because we're gonna have this as a main dish, I just think we need a little bit of extra something or other, you know what I mean? Just to give it a little bit more. Make it a main. Because she says it serves 2 as a main, 4 as a side, but I'm also gonna double this because we need leftovers for lunches. And we're gonna serve this with some rice.
I don't like how this is tingling my sniffer.
Oh, I don't like the smell. It's gonna make me throw up.
Eat it.
No, thank you.
What are you thinking so far for
I think it's pretty good. It's got a bit of a like the roasted taste is kind of smoky,
Yeah, it's supposed to be smoky.
like a campfire. I don't love that taste, but actually it's mostly the first taste is like that, and then when you keep eating it, you don't taste that anymore.
I'm scared. Ow, it's hot. Ooh.
What?
Ugh.
You should take a second bite, because for me the first bite wasn't great, but the rest is good.
They did not like this.
No, they did not. Like less campfirey would be good, but otherwise.
Then just don't. So if you don't like that, I like that a lot. There's so much flavor in here. Like, there's just layers of it.
Yeah, it's really good though.
They're crazy.
It's good.
I don't like eggplant at all.
That's an A. Yeah, but when you do eggplant as a curry, it just mushes up. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
just smooth.
But what's amazing is the smokiness from roasting it, right? It makes it really creamy, it really falls apart, kind of melts in your mouth. As a non-eggplant lover, this is easily the best eggplant dish I've ever had in my life. Would I want this all the time? I don't think so. It's like a B+ to an A for me. But I like the smokiness. But if you didn't want the smokiness, you could just not roast the
You
eggplant.
could roast it in the oven
Yeah.
rather than with the fire.
Or saute it, she recommends.
Yeah.
But the smokiness is such a unique flavor. It's really lovely. But I can see how the kids don't like it. It feels a bit more like an adult flavor.
Clearly it is.
Well, we're eating it for the rest of the week because I made like 8 servings. The death stare I just got. R.I.P. Jeremy. Died in 2024 from a death stare from Annie. For our dessert tonight, I'm going to make these Fudgy Skillet Brownies. And I'm going to be doing probably the most swaps I've done in this entire video in this one because I want to make it a little healthier and I want to make it gluten-free so Willie can eat it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What are the swaps going to be? So obviously I'm not going to use all-purpose flour. I'm going to use a gluten-free 1-to-1 blend and mix that instead. Instead of a 1.5 cups of organic cane sugar, I'm actually going to try to use date paste in here. Actually, I forgot that we have this date powdered sugar. It just says date powder, but it's like date sugar. So we're going to use that instead of the white sugar. And then just for when we go to melt the dark chocolate, I'm just going to use aquafaba there as well. And just hope that works. So how do we make this thing? We're gonna preheat our oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm gonna do a very, very light greasing of my 10-inch skillet, my cast iron skillet. If you don't have a skillet, I don't know if you can do this in another frying pan. You can try. Why not try? I'm all for trying. Whenever there's a question, you should just do it. And if not, you could probably just bake it. But I think what she likes about this dessert is that for a brownie, you don't have to wait for it to cool. You can just eat it out of the pan while it's still warm. Although she does recommend letting it cool for like 30 minutes. So in our medium bowl, we are gonna sift together the flour and the cocoa powder. And then we're gonna use our stand mixer to mix together the aquafaba along with the sugar. It's gonna get weird here. It says until the mixture is thickened, glossy, and wavy ribbons appear in the bowl. Might not happen with the aquafaba and the date paste. We're gonna find out. We're gonna add the sugar, vanilla, and espresso powder to the mixer until it's nice and combined. While that's happening, we are gonna get our double boiler going on the stove, and we're gonna add in our chopped up chocolate. I'm just gonna use chocolate chips for this, along with our aquafaba, and then let it come to a nice little melted state, and we're gonna whisk it around until so it's nice and smooth. We're gonna pour that mixture into the aquafaba mixture and fold together with a spatula. Then we're gonna add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients, and we're gonna stir it until it's just combined, and we're gonna stop. Basically, it says once the traces of the flour are gone. Then we're gonna fold in some more chocolate chips and pour the batter into our skillet and smooth it out. And then we're gonna bake it for 32 minutes or until, she says the toothpick in the middle comes out with a tiny bit of thick batter. So it doesn't have to set completely. And then she says to transfer it to a wire rack to let it cool for 30 minutes. And then if you have some, serve with scoops of your own plant-based ice cream. She has a recipe in here for one. I think we have a little bit in the freezer that we might add to this one. I'm sure her recipe is delicious perfection. So this is just really an experiment to see if I can make something like this whole food plant-based.
I feel like I want ice cream with it, guys.
We can have ice cream with it, but let's try it on its own.
I don't have ice cream.
Oh, I like that.
It's a black bean brownie.
No, it's not.
No, no.
Oh yeah.
It's nice. It's pretty sweet. It could be less sweet for me.
It's grainy.
Well, it's grainy because it's gluten-free.
I think the chocolate chips would add a sweetness, so you probably could reduce the sugar in the brownie. It's a little dry, so maybe a B plus A. Kind of fudgy.
An A, cause it's grainy.
Right. Maybe if you use flour instead of whole wheat or gluten-free flour.
It's not that grainy.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Oh, I like the texture of that a lot. I like that. I love the idea of cooking it in a frying pan. That's so much fun. Yeah, I could use, this could be way less sweeter for me. So I would cut down the date syrup or the date sugar we put in.
You guys are party poopers.
Or party poopers. Mm-hmm. But I think that would help the texture too. I think it would be a little less dense with less sugar in it. This is incredible. It's an A for sure. I think people that really like sweet things would probably give it an S. For me, this is an A, but it's definitely, and I like that I was able to make it whole food plant-based. I would keep playing with this.
Yes, ma'am.
I can make this an S.
The gluten-free flour ruins it.
The gluten-free flour ruins it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it otherwise though?
I don't know, give it a. It has like big potential, but a C. It has a gluten-free flour taste.
I would retry it with oat flour for this kind of thing, I think. But, all right. There we go. So what did we think of Big Vegan Flavor? Well, you just watched the video. It's pretty clear that we loved these recipes, and especially her approach to flavoring things. And as you can see, like, I didn't really have that big of a challenge adapting some of the recipes I did to whole food plant-based. That said, there are definitely some recipes inside of this book that require oil for sure. So not everything here can be adapted the way that I did it. I love that she has these, ingredient notes, tips, often like gluten-free options throughout the book. Like, it's just so well thought out in terms of just being really reader friendly, because this is an intimidating looking book, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I just think she is a master of flavor, and this is her masterpiece. If you love to cook and you love learning about cooking, and especially if you're new to plant-based and vegan and just need something to really just give you an overall guide, This book is an absolute buy. And like I said before, please use the link in the description down below. If you are not super comfortable doing whole food plant-based swaps when you look at a recipe, this book might be a little more challenging for you to start off, but use some of the tips that I did throughout this video and some of the tips we have in our other videos to guide you through, because I think for the bulk of it, it's not gonna be that challenging. Some of the ingredients in the book do require a little extra sourcing because they're just not necessarily as common as I think she might think they are. That said, for any of the things that we couldn't straight up find, I just Googled what a substitution for that would be, and it still tasted amazing. It's a little expensive for a cookbook, but it's also like the biggest cookbook I've ever seen in my entire life. And at 600 pages, it's incredible value for the price, I think. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button to let YouTube know to share it with others, and subscribe for more videos like this. Speaking of which, YouTube wants you to watch this one next. They know you, they know what you like watching or rewatching, maybe, depending on, your vibe and all that kind of stuff. So give it a click. Now, like that. Let that sound.